Hey, welcome to Skill Issue. This is what is this, episode 43, I think.
I think so.
So as always, here with Chris, Mr. Odyssey 40K himself.
Hey.
And we today we're going to be discussing sort of tournament checklist, which I believe we did one of these like early on, but a bit more of an 11th ed lens for this one. So yeah,
Yep.
how's your week been, Chris?
It's been incredibly busy. We have a flatmate moving in this weekend. So last weekend was making
Yeah.
sure that everything for the house was prepped. Had to we realized that we had a desk, but we didn't have a desk chair. So it was like getting all the funny little things like that. But that was fun. But I also got to play some 40K. So actually relevant to this
Nice.
podcast, I did do things as well, which was excellent. So yeah, that
Great.
was quite
Yes.
good. So yeah, played one more Orc game with another variation of the Orc list, and I played two Space Marine games, one with an Unforgiven list, which was real fun. The 18 inner circles with librarians is very funny.
That is pretty strong. Yep,
Yeah.
pretty strong.
Yeah. It does have the big issue of, oh, you're strength 6. So if you go into anything that's more than toughness 6, it's like, cool, you just don't kill things, I guess. Like I went into a unit of Virtus Praetors over 2 turns,
Oh,
12
yeah.
inner circles killed 1 bike. I was like, please get me out of this torture. But hey, that was good.
Yeah, I've experienced that too.
Yeah.
I've had my Strength 5 GSC list go into Virtus Praetors as well. I killed more than one, but I did not kill enough to not just get utterly iced. So,
Yeah. It was also funny because I had lethal sustained on one of the units. So I was like, oh, this is just gonna chew through them because I had oath on it as well. So hitting on 2s because they had the captain. Just rolled no 6s. I was like, good. I was like, oh, this feels much worse now. But hey, that's just the way we go.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think I am off the Marines for the event next weekend. So as we're going to be talking about the tournament checklist, I thought it'd be cool that since I'm going to a tournament next weekend, a singles event, I thought we'll kind of, as we go through the checklist, I'll kind of explain where my thoughts are throughout the list of this, wherever we are in the checklist. So when it's meta analysis, then I'll explain why I'm thinking of this army. I'm not really going to be hiding anything. If people that are going to the event want to tech for my army, go for gold, guys. It's really up to you. But I'm going to be taking Orcs to the event, and it's going to be a freebooter Mordaka list. But exactly what's in it is there's 200 to 300 points that are still up in the air as of right now. List locks Sunday night, so that's kind of this podcast. Then a couple more games over the next couple of days, and a couple on the weekend to kind of really lock down the list. But that's kind of it. How about yourself? What have you been up to in the last week?
I just thought I'd add on to the end of that with you being open. If anyone wants help tailoring specifically for Chris, feel free to DM me and I will help you counter Chris.
Yeah.
I've been good this week. I have been continuing on my battling with GSC journey, and I feel like I've got once I've kind of arrived at the conclusion that while Xenocult might be really good, it's not very much my play style. I think I've cooked up some cool lists with that, and then I have been shunted onto EC for teams as well. So I am currently building Demonettes.
Nice.
Nice. I have had one game with them so far and have 20-0 freebooter crew Mordaka.
No.
So maybe bad matchup there.
Oh, what a problem. Yeah, definitely volume there, right? You just have everything has 40 plus attacks, which doesn't feel good.
Yeah, well, it also felt like the mission, right? Because they'd taken hold, and then I was priority assets, and that just felt quite prio favored. It's the only time I've played prio assets, but I don't know. It felt like very hard to get your primary as the taken hold player.
Taken hold definitely has the biggest issue of the primary denial from 10th edition playstyle kind of working with it, because you get all your points mostly from just holding objectives or taking objectives. So the more that you can deny your opponent from taking objectives or holding objectives really does actually hurt their primary. And it's still quite hard to get the points back in the late game because you're still having to hold those points. So it's one of those ones where you still have the most advantage from just being quite aggressive, which is why I'm playing Orcs and trying to build quite an aggressive list. So I was like, well, if you're going to be aggressive, that's kind of what I want you to do. So kind of having that kind of game plan myself. I've and I think like 10 or 12 games I've played with the list so far, my opponents are like, well, you're just going to wire later in the game, so I'm just going to make you do it turn one. And so they just like sent their whole army turn one, and I was like, cool, I'll wire turn one, I guess, and just connect with 100 table boys, and it's just great. So yeah,
Not the table boys.
Yeah, but yeah, so like the list is really fun. It plays a style that I like to play. It's pretty simple. The actual gameplay, and it's just the nuances is like exactly where you position your models, which I find quite fun. Is like a learning lesson for 11th edition is really like hyper fixating on positioning and like when you have your go turn. The later you can have it with orcs is always the best, but like it's really deciding what turn is worth it. Am I going to have all my guns out? Is it going to be worthwhile to wire just so I don't have to shoot my looted objective? So then all my other guns get sustained hits. There's like lots of like interesting like thinking points to talk about, like to like think about and like decide on. Like you don't necessarily just wire for your melee stuff. Like there's been games where I've wired for like Gaz's unit and then like both my tank buster units, which is kind of I think an interesting like way. Is like the rest of the armies, yes, they're getting the invulnerable save, excellent. 3 of my units already have the invulnerable save, so it doesn't change a whole heap there. So it's kind of like utilizing it for max efficiency on what units you need to. Whereas a lot of the time when you're playing like the Green Tide style list, where it's like the 120 boys, you are just trying to you are and then you just shove. Everything just goes forward. It doesn't matter what it is. You just completely shove. You're trying to hit as many charges as you possibly can. You're slamming the strat for +1 to charge reroll charges so that you can reroll 2 charges effectively. Like stuff like that. You're just really trying to gunk it down, where mine's a bit more, I can play a lot slower because I have the 1 unit into a wire each turn kind of thing. You can kind of like send things out. It's been real fun. It's definitely more my playstyle than Green Tide, where Green Tide is kind of just sit there, do your thing.
Yeah, it's just a points factory, right? It's just like stat check points factory.
Which is good. Don't get me wrong. Green Tide is very strong, but it's just a little less exciting to play, I guess. It's a bit more teams oriented, I think.
Yeah, auto advance and auto war are very exciting to play.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
When I was playing with the but sorry, you go.
Oh, I was saying I forgot my opponent could do that at one point in our game. Oh. And I was like, this defiler's real far away from Gaz. It'll be fine. He's like, I auto advance 6. And I was like, like, because he'd already won. I go back into the war.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I like, because I was playing with the Pain Boy with the Bionic, and then at the start of the game, you roll a D3 and you get 1 of 3 buffs. The buff you want is the one which is +2 movement on your unit, which is a crazy ability to have.
Very good.
Yeah, so my opponent was in one of the games. Like I deployed Gaz basically on the line because like, oh, your guns, like if you send your guns out that can hurt Gaz, I just kill those things, and I think that's like a good trade for me. So he's like, oh, I'm just gonna put them up a little bit, and I was like, okay, you do know I have the auto advance 6. He's like, yeah, and then I started the battle, roll the +2 moves. Like, cool, now that's a 5-inch charge. Cool. I was like, I'm gonna go for that because with Big Boss as well, it was a 6, so it would have been an 8-inch charge, which you probably don't risk because that's just maybe a bit too risky for Gaz's unit, but you do risk it when it's a 5-inch charge.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But now it's quite fun. Yep.
Shall we crack into the checklist?
Absolutely. Where are we going to start, my king?
I think the start of like anytime you're prepping for a tournament, the first thing you have to do is I think look at what you expect to be there. So a bit of meta analysis, whether that's both of wider meta and local meta.
Yep. Yeah, it's always easier to see the wider meta, definitely, because you just look online, you see all the podcasters or the YouTubers, they could talk about like kind of the holistic meta, but what actually truly matters is the meta that you're going to face at the event. So like me in New Zealand, I know there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 Knights players because like every New Zealand event there happens to be 2 or 3 Knights players. So I got to expect that to be there, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's going to be super prevalent, right? Because New Zealand meta is pretty crunch anyhow. And then you're also going to have like the wider meta is pretty crunch anyhow at the moment. So it's just going to be, she's going to be thick.
Yes, definitely. So what are we expecting to see specifically in the meta in a more holistic level, like there's, yeah, as you said, there's a lot of like tall builds at the moment, especially for the take and hold priority assets and purge lists. They all want to be pretty thick and juicy, whereas the recon and disruption do want to be a bit wider. I guess that's probably the main, like, as a general rule, but that's all obviously changes a lot depending army to army.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see. I don't know if New Zealand, because there's not really been any events in New Zealand yet. I wonder how sort of caught up New Zealand is going to be, but I would expect to start seeing a few less purge lists around now as sort of the wider meta catches on that maybe it's not sort of the most optimal way to play for every army. Absolutely. And that there are some pretty bad matchups like Prio, which we saw in the last couple of weeks. So perhaps less purge, meaning less tall. But I think even if you are not taking purge, you still want to go tall-ish, just because currently the meta's still looking stat checky. You don't want to hit the guy who's like, oh fuck it, I'll just play my 3 Catan and just auto lose. That's still something you have to be very aware of. Absolutely. So you still need to pass a damage check. You still need to be able to stat check to an extent, just because of the tables. I think, unfortunately, like even if you are playing a disposition that requires it less, you still need an element of that, I think. And then there's like Defilers are still really strong. Still going to see a lot of them. Tau are really good. All the Chaos Army is really good. Demons. These are all things that are going to be tall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think another thing is funny. Like, I'm actually editing a video right now, and like I did like a bit where I was putting like all the different primaries that have like a kill component in them. And I got to like 8 and I was like, I just gave up, because I was like trying to do a noise effect with each one as well. I was like, this is just getting tedious now. I'm just going to stop here. So there's at least 8 different primary missions. Obviously 5 of them are purged, so, you know, but there's more than 3 others that have like a kill piece in them, which means that there's, you know, being tall is still a really good thing, because if you can't kill those units, then your opponent's still not getting that primary and you still get a good benefit for it, which I think is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've even, I think like 2 of the disruption ones, 1 of the recon ones, the 1 Prio one I've played, all have, so that's 4. That's already at 9.
Yeah.
Without like thinking about it. Yeah. One of the take and hold ones as well. There you go, 10.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
yeah. So outside of that, that's kind of what we're looking at in the meta. Anything to add? I guess orcs. Orcs are probably the thing that's good to add to what I was saying before about the wider meta. They're looking fairly strong. Any local meta considerations that you're looking at?
Not a whole heap. Like I always have like a little bit of a think of who are like the strongest players that might be there and what will they be on. It doesn't really ever influence what I'm actually taking, but it makes me think about if my list is just, if all the people that I'm like, all these guys are good or better than me as a player, if all the lists are good into what I'm taking, maybe I do need to change it, because then obviously I'm calling the meta wrong. So that's like a take, but most of the time it doesn't actually, I don't think it's ever actually changed what I've been taking. It's just been a consideration to kind of think about it. Okay, if I was a Admech main, is there an issue here? If I was a Emperor's Children main, is there an issue here? I kind of think about all the strongest players and that could be attending the event. And if there's more than like 5 and all of them are bad matchups for you, maybe you do need to reconsider what your actual list concept is as a basis. But for the most part, I don't really think that's, I think the meta in New Zealand is probably too new for the edition to really super consider it, because this is basically the first full-on event. So this is the one that's going to kind of set the beginnings of understanding what the meta is in New Zealand, and then we'll kind of bounce from there. We can speculate on what the meta was from 10th edition, but we don't know what people have been brewing up in the last month or so, right? It's crazy. It's not even been a month since release of 11th. Like, it feels like it was ages ago now.
That is interesting. Yeah, it does feel longer than I would think.
Yeah,
But yeah, it still feels new when you play it though.
yeah,
To me, at
for
least,
sure.
like it's still like I forgot about hidden the other day. I went
Yeah,
to shoot something and I was like, "Fuck,
yeah,
it's hidden." But yeah. Um. So I think one way I agree with you that like now might be too soon to be sort of targeting people, but I think one way, like you hit on an interesting point in that it's if you're trying to seriously compete, you expect that you'll hit one of these good players eventually. And if you know what the good players in your meta are likely to play, like maybe you can avoid one or two of them, but you can't avoid all of them. So you
yeah,
can't sort of you can't lose to lots of what you expect them to play. Like I've definitely gone to tournaments where I knew Charlie was playing guard and I've been like, I can't play guard,
mm,
but I'm just banking on the fact that I'm not going to.
yeah,
Like there's lots of other good players going like John T, etc. I need to make sure I have a game into them, but the
yeah,
build that I'm going with really bad into guard, and I'm just going to accept that, and we're just going to pray that someone else knocks out Charlie.
yeah.
So that's definitely a viable approach. But you need play into at least a number of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. You still need to think that your list is good into the general meta, right? I think if you're trying to do well at any event, you need to not necessarily have your pulse on the meta, but you need to think this army has play into the majority of things because you can have bad matchups. There's no army that doesn't have bad matchups. And if you find one, then let me know because I'll play it. But it's like one of those things like you
Yeah.
got to decide what you want your weakness to be and understanding what your weakness is part of the battle as well, because if your opponent hasn't played the matchup and you have, you still might be able to get like a win out of it just because of how the understanding differential in the game can be, which can be quite important sometimes. So just understanding that it's a bad matchup, you might have to play a bit safer, a bit different. You might even just have to all in your opponent. There's all sorts of different things. Talking about
Mm.
one of the good players. I played at a teams event last edition, Cam, and I was playing Orcs at that one. He was playing Tiger Shark Tau. And I was like, this is such a horrible matchup for me. But I was like, my only out in this game is to deploy on the line and go first and just wah turn one and just try and pick up as much as I could. And I won that game 15-5. So, like, sometimes you just have to play the outs. It was teams, and like we understood that I was most likely getting a loss there. We would have drawn the round if I did get the loss, but we got the win because I was able to do something risky and go for it. In singles, it's even more exacerbated, I think, where if you're playing a losing matchup and you just play it slow, you're probably just going to lose that game. And then that's not a way that you're going to win a tournament. You're going to keep the game damn close. You might keep it within 5-10 points, but you'll always be 5-10 points behind. And like, it's not going to win you a game. It's not going to win you a tournament.
So it's funny you say that because at this most recent singles tournament I was at, I played into a good mate of mine who's a good player, and we both identified at the table that I was fucked. So I deployed everything on the line. I was like, I'm gonna go 1st
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna punish you.
Yeah.
And then I rolled the 4, and he was like, fuck. And then he rolled the 5, and we shook hands.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. That's brutal. And like sometimes it's going to happen, but you have to understand that you are taking a 50-50 risk, but it's a 50-50 risk to keep you in a game on a game that you're like you probably had like a 20% chance to win anyway if both players are competent and understand the matchup. It's funny when people are like, "Oh, this matchup is only favored by, 60%." But that doesn't take into account the people that have never played that matchup that are also in that statistics a lot of the time, So people see like the faction versus faction win rates. And I don't really take much into that, if anything at all, because you don't know if that person's played that matchup. If it's two people that understand that matchup, that's great data. But if it's two people that have never played that matchup before, they could play it completely wrong. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't give you great data.
yeah, it's very interesting the amount of times I've watched people play games where their opponent has like no ability to deal with them and they just don't abuse that.
Yeah.
Like they just play sort of slow dribble.
Yeah. Like playing 15 Deathwing Knights into damage to the army, and your Deathwing Knights just stay on objectives the whole game and be like, I'm just going to play scared. It's like, you could just run. You are so safe.
Yeah, be free. Yeah, so another thing that I think, another way you can deal with boogeyman stuff that you expect to be in the meta if you don't think that sort of like taking your army for it is an option. Is targeted reps, I think, is another
Huge.
really good strategy as well. Like if you know that you're playing your inner circle companion list and that you can't deal with T7, maybe you just practice that
Yeah.
game a heap
Yep.
and see if you can sort of eke it out by having more reps than your opponent.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely what I when Eldar was strong, was just play a heap of Eldar because there was no real way to super tech for it.
Yeah, yeah. You couldn't really tech around Phantasm. Just wasn't a thing.
Temporal Surge, good. You play
Yeah,
T-Suns. Temporal Surge beats Phantasm.
True. Just be the other broken army at the time. Like, oh, I'm just going to indirectly with flamers through walls. Pieces of shit.
Believe it or not, it was like the 5th best army.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, it's funny to think that. Yep.
Yeah.
So the next thing would be after you've identified the meta and you've talked about it with all your mates, you've figured out these are the 5 key armies that we need to be able to beat. These are the dispositions we're going to find. This is going to be a new thing that comes out this edition, which is talking about what dispositions you think are going to be there and which ones to get reps into as well is like going to be an important thing. Like there's still not going to be that much disruption, but getting a couple of games into disruption is still going to be quite important, right? Because if you have no games into it, you still have that chance of, oh, I just didn't understand the tempo of this game, I now lose. Well, that sucks. But yeah,
you're making one big mistake there, which is assuming that disruption can dictate any tempo.
That's very true. Yeah, disruption is probably the bad. It's still important because if you really just misread how something works, you still can just lose games, and that's how disruption will probably still keep a win rate to some degree. But unless the people are practicing for teams.
I think also understanding the fact that you have to, I think, in 11 with every list, no matter the disposition, you have to look at it and be like, is this just going to try and table me?
Yeah.
Like, are they just going to not do actions? What's my game plan if it just shoves?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what I would think is the next most important part would be list. Like, what is the list? So you've understood the meta now. What is the list that you're going to take? And so, like, for myself, I've decided on Orcs. Orcs do have a very good win rate right now. So I'm not going to like joke and think that I'm trying to be some like special little butterfly. Like, oh, I'm taking Orcs and they're not doing very good. They had like a 61% win rate last week, which is like very good. So I'm not trying to pretend anything here. But I was also on Orcs for the last like, 3-4 weeks now. So it's not like it's something new for me. Like I've been enjoying them. I've been liking the lists. The list is slowly iterated over time for different things. And I've locked down about 1,800 points. There's two 2,000 point lists that I quite like. One of them's slightly more gun heavy. One of them's just more like trash heavy, because you don't get punished too much in Take and Hold for having like trash pieces, but you do a little bit. So it depends on if I care about that. Or the worst thing that I've found with my list so far is having to do like an action with a 20 man feels pretty bad, especially if it's like when you're like trying to just like you've called the war on turn 3, turn 4 you draw like cleanse and you're like, oh well, I kind of really need to start scoring points now. It's like, ooh. So it just feels quite bad. So having like an extra 1 or 2 small units could like really help with that. But then like having like a unit of looters could also be really nice, or 3rd unit of tank busters. All these things are quite strong, right? So there's lots of different ways to go about it. Tank busters with rapid fire enhancement, by the way, or upgrade. Oh, man, do they cook? They just slap.
Very strong.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. The going more MSU and the sort of like Tide-esque lists. I think like there's a lot of merit for it, but it's also this weird thing of you are detracting from your primary game plan the more MSU you go. So it's quite a weird balancing act, I think.
Absolutely. One of the considerations is just with the last 200 points is taking another 20 man. Like it's genuinely just have 120 boys instead of 100 boys. It's like, it is one of the things like there is at least one extra action piece. So it's just like, but you could also get like 2 units of Storm Boys and a unit of Grots and another upgrade, like there's a lot of different ways you can kind of build those last 200 points, which is still, they're all quite interesting. So it's just deciding exactly what you want. But the list so far is basically, I've got 2 tank busters with big mechs, one with the rapid fire, one with ignores cover. I have 3 banner boys with 20 boys each. I have Gaz, Big Boss, Pain Boss with 20 boys. And then so that's 80 boys. And then I have 20 just bear boys, naked boys. Probably not the correct thing to say on a podcast.
Not the naked boys. 20 naked boys.
Yeah. And then I have Zod with his 20. I have 10 Grots. And then I have a unit of Storm Boys. And that is the list. So it's, again, not very many units. Like I said, a lot of models, like different models, but like it's characters in 4 different units and then one other like battle line unit. And then it's like 4 other units in the army. It's like 9 to 10 units, which is very lean on unit count. Model count, though, is like 150 models. It's a lot of models. It's one of those things to kind of like, how am I balancing it? Do I need like second Storm Boys, second Grots, just so I have a bit more coverage and stuff like that? So it's like, will I be annoyed if I lose a game because I don't have an action piece on the weekend, right? Like if I did have an extra unit of Storm Boys to get that behind, to get that plunder, whatever it is, like, and those points would have won me a game, will that annoy me, or or will that be okay? Is just the pressure better, or is the extra guns better? It's tricky.
And is there anything in there that, if you don't mind revealing the tech, that you've teched, like you said you haven't gone for any specific player, but any of that kind of wider meta stuff that we're talking about, anything that's in there that you're like, I am taking this specifically because of Defilers or whatever that's strong at the moment?
The second tank buster. Oh, you there? Oh no! It's not an episode of skill issue if we don't have Tate with internet issues, right? We actually are getting this sorted, by the way. How are we doing, Tate? You back? You back?
I'm back. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. So talk like about Defilers specifically and other like big hulls. That was the reason that the second tank buster unit came in. I was just running the 1 unit and just having just more stuff. I had a unit of 20 Beast Nagger boys as well, so just really trying to go in on that pressure. And I found that Orcs at AP 1 and Strength 5 still just isn't enough to kill a lot of these tanks. Like 20 boys could like sometimes would just take like 6 wounds off a tank, and I was like, well, this doesn't feel good. Especially if they have like fall back and shoot or something, like especially like Emperor's Children Defilers, just like fall back and with autocannons, just rinse a 20 man does not feel good. So having that pressure piece of the second tank buster unit to be like, cool, these on average do like 15 wounds to a Defiler, which is pretty good. Like with the sustained hits, like pretty decent. So if you can do that, then I think you're in a pretty good spot. And also being able to get the like a tank buster unit to AP4, if you use the strat for +1 AP within 9 inches, you can just really like push through into the non-invul tanks as well. And it also gives you a bit more of a game into the Knights matchup. The Knights matchup is actually weirdly okay anyway, because they just don't have the volume a lot of the time to get through everything over the course of a game, and you just auto-see them. So like, which is kind of interesting, but it just helps in that matchup anyway. And then the rapid fire unit has been amazing for the keep my expansion as my looted objective and just be an Overwatch piece. Like if you come within 12 inches of this unit, I'll get like 6 to 7 hits on you, and I'm probably winning you on 3s, and then you'll like lose like half your unit. I overwatched a unit of Virtus Praetors and I killed 2.5 of them in Overwatch. And I was like, get fucked.
Oh, that feels good.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah. So it's like stuff like that. It's just it ends up giving you a no-go zone, which is really powerful when you're playing take and hold and you don't want people to get close to your expansion. Being able to just like kind of lock it down for a turn or two can feel really strong.
Yeah, that's kind of how I won my game last night. Was I just dived the expansion and I just like tagged everything, gummed it up, and just made the take and hold player fight back for their expansion all game.
Yeah,
because you have to hold 2 in that mission. There's no hold 1. Yeah, which is great. Yeah,
it's definitely tough. Yeah, which is why I quite like in my deployments as well. Like I've been practicing deployment with the list in my spare time, which is something I really rate to anyone doing. I'm actually editing the video as 25 deployment tips right now, so wait for that bad boy to come out. But like yeah, it's just practicing deployment and understanding where you can go and what kind of like where you can get hidden in interesting spots, all these kind of things to think about. Like on turn one, if you can move out, can I get hidden in some way that's actually kind of interesting? All these kind of like little things to like where can you gain an advantage? I'm playing basically an entire infantry army, so I need to maximize using hidden as much as possible and all that kind of stuff, and like make sure like my entire army has assault because everything's infantry, but like I only shoot the 2 tank buster units or like the looter unit. Like it's just those are the only things that shoot because I can't give them hidden if they're shooting and they need to be shooting. Whereas everything else is pistols. Yeah, they're great. They get sustained hits. They're still strength 4 AP0 pistols that hit on 6s because you'll most likely be getting cover. Is it worthwhile to like not get the ability to be hidden? No. So just figuring out that even when you're doing like charge moves and pylons, just making sure that your models are on terrain. So if they do fall back from you, that you are like forcing them to be at least a little bit closer. Because even in Freebooter Crew, you have reach, but you don't have that much reach. Orcs are a weirdly slow army for being like a melee army.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, as well when you hear like when you read the rule, wow, you're like they're gonna be really fast, but they're just not.
7-inch moving guys.
Yeah. Consistent 7, oh baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. But building on that, I think you raise a really good point of like deploying. If you it's a bit harder now that we don't know what layout you have for tournaments. You can't do like the deploy ahead of time, but deploy on all the layouts for your bad matchups, I would say, is really huge. Using TTS for that. Photograph it, like screenshot it as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
Really handy.
It's a huge tip. Yeah. Stop anything like that. Anything that you need to kind of understand, knowing like, on this map, I need to keep an extra unit in reserves because I can't keep it actually physically hidden in deployment. Like stuff like that's real key as well. You don't want to be caught out in a game where, when you're asking your opponent, do you mind if I actually put this unit in reserves now because I realized I fucked up? Like you don't want to have to do that. So being able to actually plan that out beforehand is really good. So one of my 3 ways of when I deploy, I try and like deploy if I'm going against like a fast shooting army, like a Montcar, I like a combined arms army, like an Ultramarines, and then like something like super fast, like a Berserker Warband or like an Emperor's Children, kind of like faster melee kind of list. So like, because little things will change for each. If you're going against a just melee army, you don't have to worry about hidden. But if you're going against like a full shooting army, hiddens might not be that important because if they're fast enough, they might just see you anyway. So actually you have to be behind the ruins to force them to be really close to you to really try and gain those advantages. So it's like thinking about these kind of things. Luckily I play Tau and I've played Montcar a lot, so I kind of understand how the Montcar player wants to play. So I often will practice against the fast shooting lists because the other 2, for orcs at least, are quite easy to set up, whereas the fast gun one is the one that you need to be a lot more safe about. But it's a key consideration when you're building your list that you need to be able to deploy your list.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I still remember that when I was like quite new, like deploying my army and just realizing I just fucked it in list construction because it didn't fit. Was like not a fun experience.
Yeah. But now with TTS, super easy to do. You just load your army in. You can practice 5 deployments in 20 minutes and like at least you have something to go off. And if you do that every night the week before an event, like you're going to have like it'll just be natural, like where you need to put things. Obviously TTS and in person is slightly different, but you understand the basic shapes of where everything needs to go, and it does make things a lot easier, especially after list lock and lists go live and you can see what dispositions people have. You can kind of start locking in like, well, these are the 3 dispositions that I'm really worried about. Let's actually just practice all the maps on those ones. Like, or each night of the week, do one different disposition, and then do purge twice because it's the most common, or do priority twice because it's the most common. Like something like that, right? Like just, and don't do disruption because just disrespect it.
Yeah, yes. I think as well, just figuring out even if you just jump on the app or tabletop battles or whatever you have, if you don't have TTS, and just figuring out like what other boards that you're really strong on or really bad on in a certain matchup. Like if you think about Disruption's worst matchup is Recon, but there's the one board it's really favored on.
Yeah.
So being aware of like how to capitalize on that, stuff like that.
Yeah, even just reading
really
yours and your opponent's like missions as well. You know, like when you're doing the deployment, if you're deploying into a priority assets game, make sure you read how the priority assets player scores points as well, because you need to be able to set up to deny their points however it might be, right? Or like the Purge game where like you don't want to give them a free kill early, so like making sure that you're even further back just to make sure that these things are happening is really important as well.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Cool. What is next on the
That is
agenda?
a good point. Let me find the message very quickly because
don't you mean the skill
prep.
issue?
Actually, how do you prep for the event? So this is, you've locked in, you've got your list like basically where I've got it now, where it's only niche little things you're going to change. The structure of the list isn't changing. Your disposition's locked in. You've analyzed the meta. What are the different stages of prep? The first stage of prep is making sure you have everything painted you needed for the event, is kind of where I'm at, because you physically need your army painted. At this event, you actually don't. So I'm actually like vibing. Yeah, the Tactical Chile. I'm going to the Tactical Chile champion. Is it Tactical Chile Championship? I think is the name of it.
Anyway. I have no idea, man. Yeah. I don't live there anymore.
I think that's the event, but yeah, they're being quite lenient because it's the first big event of 11th edition. So they're being pretty lenient. There's going to be proxies. I think it's like 80% painted. It's going to be pretty chill. I'm still going to have a painted army because I want to have a painted army, and it's nice to play with a painted army. But it's the first thing you need to think about. Like, do you need to buy any models? Do you need to borrow any models? Do you need to paint models? Get the admin out of the way before anything else, because it's the one thing you don't want to get to the event and you're down 10 models and now you're playing down an entire unit because you didn't get access to it for some reason. This brings me to a very memorable story where the Tank Busters, which are actually right behind me, that I got Patricio to print for me for an event. And I arrived in Auckland, so I flew up, and it was, I think I got it at 9 p.m. the night before. And yeah, Pedro was like, oh, do you want a beer? I was like, yeah, I'll grab a beer. So I opened a beer. He's like, okay, when are you going to start painting your models? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I undercoated them for you. And there was 36 unpainted orc models. There was 18 Breaker Boys and 18 Tank Busters. And there was like a Tate painted one, or did the undercoat of one. Yeah. And then there's a couple of other guys painting them. And I was like, you haven't painted any of them? He's like, no. That's for you to do. I was like, I printed them. I was like, oh. So I was up to 2 a.m. painting those models for the event the next day. But it all ended up well because my team ended up winning that event. So, hey, it was worth it all in the end. But making sure to get the admin out of the way as soon as possible is very important.
That's iconic because I've had the exact same thing happen to me because of Pato.
Yeah.
He printed me, except worse, because he printed me less models, I guess, but 12 Zangor Enlightened. I fly in the night before NZTC last year to the little bags of Zangor Enlightened parts, and I go to Fishy's place and to start assembling them because I was at least forewarned that this is what would happen.
Yep.
And they all have 2 left hands. So I had to cut them up and create monstrosities with backwards hand.
Yeah.
And then paint them, which was good. But I guess with 12 guys, it's not as bad. But still, it was pretty painful cutting up and kit bashing like 3D print resin.
Yeah.
It was really cursed.
Yeah. We do have a chat from Frankie here. He's asking, am I playing the looters that if they have heavy, they hit on 5s even through cover? And yes, that is just how the rules work right now. If you are ballistic skill 6, you cannot go to ballistic skill 7, but you can still get +1 to hit. So you can be -1 ballistic skill, +1 to hit, and be hitting on 5s with ballistic skill 6 models, because that is how modifiers work. It's very silly, but it is technically how it works. Yeah. It is, yeah. To be fair, they hit on 6s. Like, you cannot make them hit on 7s. So
not this edition.
Yeah. So it's fun. It doesn't come up very often because like when you set them up from reserves, they can't do it. And if you get them out of a transport, they can't do it. So it's only like if you move the transport 3 inches or Like if their good target to shoot at is with the whole unit of 10 moving 3 inches, it's very unlikely, but it can come up.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of practice, are you doing anything targeted for practice?
So yes, so the first thing after I've got all the models, so it is just I need to paint 2 banner boys and a big boss, and then that's it. Oh, and Zodigrod. So once that's out of the way, but I have all the models, so all the admin side of it's done. I have gotten reps into a lot of different armies now, so now it's getting specific reps is what I want to get into next, and it's into my bad matchups. The ones that I expect are my bad matchups, which is like the Emperor's Children, the high volume tower, like the Ret Cad tower that's running the 3 burst suit units. How do I have games into these? How do they feel? How bad are they? So if I can get a couple of games into those kind of matchups before list lock, just to see if there is anything I need to tweak in the list, just that last thing's like, okay, maybe I need something to be able to answer this a bit better. I don't really think there will be, but it is good just to have that last thing, just to have a think on, is this just going to be a bad matchup for me, or is it actually fine? I'm not even sure if the triple burst cannon unit catalysts are actually super strong, because they do actually have some bad matchups in the field, whereas like having other suit units can be better. But it is very good into the orc list. I will give you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so targeted reps now on specific dispositions. I really want to get. I've played Purge too many times, so I need to get reps into Prio and Recon are the 2 that I need to get the most reps into now. The Recon one's fine because they're playing engage, so they have to come at me, which feels quite good for the Orc game, especially if they come towards the table quarter that has my looted objective on, like my expansion, because then I just wow 1 unit and can send it out and like tag a bunch of stuff with it, because worst case scenario, I charge the thing right in front of me and just whip the tail end and just tag a bunch of stuff. But best case scenario, I roll a big charge and then I just go crazy with the unit. So stuff like that. So that matchup feels pretty strong for that regard, because like if they send stuff at me, I get these like kind of leapfrog areas. But if they don't send anything at me, I'm just getting more primary than them. So it's kind of like damned either way. So it's kind of interesting. So I think that matchup's fine. The prior matchup I've only played twice. Feels okay. One of the games I just tabled my opponent, so that was a good answer to it. But it's not great. But it's really list dependent more than disposition dependent, I think, for Prio. I think it's even enough that it just depends on how my opponent can play it. Can they kill 20 mans? Can they kill 20 mans with 5 involves? It's kind of just the stick there, where both the games I've played so far, they haven't been able to, so which is again probably a good reason to get a game into the Carnival Emperor's Children list, because that's got the volume.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah.
Crit 5 sustained.
Yeah, crit 5 sustained. With already having decent volume, not good into the average table boy.
The average table boy. Yeah. Cool. What's next on? You've done reps.
And we've talked about deployment. That would be one of the other things that actually would have fallen under the practice side of things, not the list construction. Is practicing all your deployments as part of this prep phase now, where you want to lock down, like after list lock, you should be sitting down for at least a good couple of hours and just practicing all your deployments. I think that's super key to actually understanding things, because you want to be able to get up to the table, know your opponent, be like, cool, and basically be able to plop your entire army down, irrespective of what they have. Obviously, there'll be certain niche things. With my list, not so much. I'm not going to like counter deploy you, be like, oh, you put that there, now I can do this. I just have a lot of guys, like they just go in the places they go. Like maybe Gaz's specific unit goes in a different place depending on where they put things. But like besides that, it's pretty like linear. This is where this goes. This is where this goes. Just it's pretty simple.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just table boys, man. Don't worry about it.
It's just a bunch of boys, just a bunch of angry shirtless men. But yeah. So apart from that, I think analyze what lists your opponents are going to use. Like after list lock, analyze what lists you are bad into and try and get reps into that. But that's after list lock. If you can see that there's 1 or 2 lists that you're really afraid of, get a practice game into it. There's nothing worse than going to an event thinking that a list is bad, but not have practiced into it, because then you get even more nervous when you are playing the game, right? You're like, oh God, what is he gonna do? Or you just make a really big mistake on your turn one and the game's over, and you could have easily solved it. That's the one that really frustrates me, when you like get into a match and you're just like, no, if I just like ingressed on the other side of the board, or if I didn't put that unit forward this turn, this game was like, so like the game's actually not bad, but because you hadn't played it, it became bad. So making sure that you at least got 1 or 2 games into the scariest stuff, if you can. Obviously, we're coming from a place where we try and get a lot of games in, like we play at least 2 or 3 games a week. Not a lot of people can do that, so just get the best you can. If you can't get games, try and talk to people that are playing those kind of lists and at least get their advice. Jump them on TTS for 20 minutes, like, hey, how would you deploy against this? Just to get an understanding of how that can kind of work. Because anything's better than nothing. You don't have to play whole games. Play the first 45 minutes. Just maybe rush through your turn 1 a little bit so you can get into turn 2, see how that kind of feels, and just kind of get a pacing of the game a little bit. Anything like that can be really important. If you don't have time for full games, just whatever you can get a hold of. And another thing that's really important is when it comes to not playing full games, if a game is a foregone conclusion and it's practice, just ditch it and start playing a fresh game. Like if it's turn 1 and Gaz rolled a 6 on the advance, had already had +2 move from the Bionics, and just is T-posing on your opponent's home objective turn 1, that's probably not a game that you need to continue playing. Like if everything went well for you, like it's probably not something necessary to play, because that's not likely to happen. So you can probably just re-rack and play a different game or play against a different army. There's no point slogging out that game for 3 hours to still lose it, if that makes sense. There's always the case of, if you haven't played the game at all, playing it through to conclusion once is really good, because you need to understand how do you get back into a game. But once you know how your army kind of scrims and fights, but like fights up in games and scrounges for points, then you can kind of just like ignore those games and be like, cool, I've lost this game, or I've won this game. Let's re-rack. Like, just the more reps you can get, the better.
Yeah, especially if limited time re-racking is really useful. And you kind of touch on an interesting point in that, lots of people say don't blame dice for losing, but I think not. The inverse of that is maybe you should sometimes attribute wins to dice. Like if you're having a practice game and acknowledging that you high rolled, and maybe being like, maybe we do reset this so I can get a sense of what it's, like maybe I shouldn't do 16 dev wounds to this thing. It's good to bear in the back of your mind.
Absolutely. It's important both ways. It's definitely important both ways. Like, just understanding that dice fluctuate, I think, is something that a lot of competitive or early on competitive players don't really understand, or don't take, like, they take it for granted almost. Where it's like, I didn't get the perfect average, I'm so upset right now. It's like, you never get the perfect average. Like, it's actually so rare to roll exactly the average amount of failed saves at the end, maybe. But like the amount of hits, the amount of wounds, like all of that is often like, I've gotten perfect average results once where I hit with like everything, and I was like, and I was like hitting on 4s, but I had just like 20 attacks, everything was a 4 up. I was like, this felt fucking amazing. But then he still took the exact amount of normal damage that he should have, because I rolled poor on the wounds and he rolled well on the saves, right? It often averages out. And sometimes when it doesn't, especially in practice games, if you have like D6 damage weapons and you rolled like 666 and you killed a Defiler turn 1, maybe just don't do that. Like, just make it take the average, take the 11, like, just so like you get more out of the game that way. Like, unless your opponent's like, no, I want to play with, like, without my Defiler, I want to see how that game plays out. 100%. But I think offer those takebacks in those kind of games, and takebacks in general in practice games. Actually, I don't think this is great. Let's re-rack it. Tate, you and I had a very funny game early on in 11th edition in our games, where you were playing T-Suns, I was playing the Helicopter Repex, and you were like, I'm gonna move this Rhino up here with the rubrics in it. It's completely safe. And I was like, by the way, I can put Helicopter Repex and Redeemer shooting into that Rhino and kill both units. So you're like, okay. And then you'd already done the rest of your movement phase, but we let you take it back, and you swapped things out, and you did a much better play, which was way better for me learning, because it changed the entire tempo of the game, how the game actually plays out, and is how the game should play out, not, my opponent made a mistake, let me capitalize on it. Like, if you play against the optimal play, when they do the unoptimal play, it should be a much easier game.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Then you can watch your opponent make mistakes mid game in the tournament and just
Yeah,
secretly.
maniacal laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
It's like, Tate the idiot did this last game. Now I know exactly how to beat it. Yep. No, exactly.
yeah.
It's really important to have good communication with your practice partners, I think, with that. Sometimes I get into practice games and the opponent just wants to try and win at all costs. So they start making bigger and bigger risks. And I'm like, but this probably isn't how this game actually plays out, because you're just trying to like pull off a big like you're trying to hit 10-inch charges at this point. And if you're playing Oliver Johnson, that works, but it doesn't if you're playing most other people. You know what I mean? So it's like making sure
You
you're
just got
both
to.
both trying to do the same thing. You're both wanting to get the same thing out of it, right?
With Oliver Johnson, you just got to tell him you're gonna make the 10-inch charge, and he'll already leave the TTS room, so it's
True.
fine.
Yeah, he'll already be in the spiral. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh man, I can't wait to see him next weekend. I'm actually super excited. It's been like years since I've seen my boy. So we literally talk every day for like the last
Right.
2 years. It's been a long time, so I'm quite excited.
Oh yeah, because you weren't at NZTC last year,
No,
eh?
and I was in Queenstown, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be in chat with the sad face. I'm sorry,
No
Mackie.
king. It was a different Oliver Johnson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's I'm very excited for the tournament. I'm very excited just to like catch up with all my friends. To be fair, like it's been a while since I've seen everyone. So that's the other thing is, I think part of practice, even if you're trying really hard to do well at an event, understand you are trying to do well at an event. You are not necessarily trying to win the event. Trying to win an event is very unlikely. Out of the like 60 people, you're trying to be the best person there. Definitely try your hardest, but set the goals of going 4-1. That's a really, really big like goal to set. It's just winning, going 80% win rate is still very big, right? Like that should be a goal. It shouldn't be win the event, because only one person gets to do that, and you'll be left a bit sour if you have that as your only goal and nothing else matters. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 4-1 is always my goal. I don't think I've ever gone to something and been like, I'm aiming to win this, except maybe an RTT.
yeah, an RTT where I was like, I think I'm the best player here. If I don't win, I'll be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, stuff like that. Make sure you have goals. And if you've never gone 4-1 an event, you shouldn't have a goal of winning the event. Your goal should only ever be like one placing higher. So if you've only ever gone 3-2, try and go for 4-1. And then set the goal of I want to go 4-1, and I want to try and get that loss as late as possible. That's, I think, one of the big key things to try and think about. Try not to get your loss round 1, try and get it round 2, try and get it round 3, try and get it round 4. Because then you'll play against better players, like higher level players, and then that's how you actually get better at the game as well. Is like having those high functioning games on the like top tables of an event.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yes, the other thing I was going to say, kind of leading in from what some of the stuff you were saying, is just chat to people. Like all throughout, like have your group chats going with other people that are going to the event. Get other people's ideas on lists, that kind of stuff. Just get the think tank.
Yeah.
Get the hive mind going.
Absolutely. And I think an important thing is, and this was actually not to shout out another one of my videos, but my 25 tips video is, if you are chucking stuff.
How many plugs has it been?
I think it's like 2, but it's not too bad. It is my channel, so
I'll allow it.
Yeah, but it's when you are chatting in your 40k group chats, especially if it's a competitive one. If it's just the one with your friends, that's absolutely fine. But if it's one you're trying to get stuff out of it, try and articulate quite well what you're trying to get out of your message. So like, hey, I don't understand this list. If you just say that, it's like, well, what do you want? It's like, I don't understand this list. Why does it have these 2 units and these 2 units? I haven't seen those in other lists. Is there anything here that I'm missing? Like that's much more important, because people that can then analyze exactly where they need to look in that list. Oh, okay, these are why looters are strong. This is why demonettes are in carnival lists. Like if they just don't understand that conceptually, being able to pinpoint exactly where you're getting confusion from to then be able to give insight, instead of being like, is this list just bad? Like, be able to get a bit more out of it than that, I think is a really important way of being able to get the most out of your group chats as well. Because the more focused you can be, the better it is in that regard. I find anyway. Like when I have a group chat with Tate and Ollie, and I try and articulate, like if I'm putting something new in the chat, I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And this is the reason why I want it. And then most of the time it's both of them bullying me, being like, no, you're an idiot. I do not like it. And then I do it anyway. And then they're like, actually, no, this is not too bad. But I have to pass the vibe check, the aura check from my boys.
Yeah, you just never want the why question mark.
Yeah, or the shake head emoji, nothing else.
Yeah, the scene.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so like I think that's a really important thing is just if there's anything that you're unsure of, like if you have the app, look at the app. Like, or if you don't have access to that faction, ask someone that might have that access to that faction. Hey, why do you think this unit's in here? Why do you think this list is good? And people might, even if you've listened to other YouTube channels and they're like, hey, this list is really strong into X. If you don't understand why, ask people that might know why. Either jump into their Discords, message your friends that play those armies and just try and figure it out. Because it's really important to understand this before the event and not find out after your game won.
Yeah. Or jump in the Odyssey 40K Discord. There we Absolutely. Go. Now I'm plugging.
Hell yeah. There's also a skill issue tab in there now. So you can, if there's anything you want to talk about skill issue wise, specifically about this pod, chuck it in there. If there's things you want us to talk about, anything like that, chuck it in the skill issue tab of the Discord. So that'll be cool. That is kind of the entire playbook that I have is assess the meta, lock down your list, sort out the admin for your list, and then it's just practice as much as possible and get as much information as possible.
Yes. Yeah. And then have fun. Of course. No,
friend.
I know.
Yeah.
I've come so far.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Unironically is important though. If you take I was thinking about this while we were talking about setting goals. If you take like going 4-1 too seriously and then you don't, it's pretty feels bad. So
yep.
Yes.
As just something that's like important to me is mental health within the hobby. There's a lot of people with mental health issues, whether it's depression or anxiety or something along those lines. A lot of people in the community have these things. Like I suffer from depression. Like so like it's just one of those things. So making sure that your goals are achievable, making sure that you don't put too much on your goals anyway, and make sure like whenever I go to an event, I'm more excited about seeing my friends, and then the event's kind of like the side thing that I also get excited about, but it's like kind of almost the side thing. Like at this event, I'm more excited to see Ollie than actually play, but I get to play at a 60-person GT of 11th edition, which is super hype as well. So like I get two really exciting things. So making sure that you're being as positive about all the different aspects of the game. You shouldn't just be putting all your weight onto seeing your friends. You shouldn't be putting all your weight onto just winning games. Playing a great game and losing is better than playing 5 like really horrible games, right? Like, so I think that is definitely a really important thing. Like, some of my favorite games are games that I've lost because like the game was just so fun, like so tight, like it was down to like the last rolls and stuff like that. Like they're just so hyped, like cinematic games, right? So like it doesn't matter win or lose in those games. You had a fun time anyway, right? So like make sure that there's multiple things you're getting out of events, I think is a really important one. And that is, I think, all I've got. Is there anything else you want to add, my king?
I don't think so. Absolutely echo your thoughts about putting mental health first, and then as well the best games being like tight losses are very satisfying as well, because like if you know that you are really maybe it's just a really good player, like you got really close to the win, stuff like that, really satisfying. But other than that, no, nothing.
Absolutely awesome. Well, that will be us for another week. That's exactly an hour. Look at it. We are absolute professionals now. It took us, 10 months, but we finally got here. But we are, 9 weeks away from our first birthday, which is crazy.
Oh, yeah. That is nuts.
Yeah, that's actually
damn,
mental.
yeah.
I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, do you realize we've been doing this for 43 weeks? And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, it just
It is
seems
crazy. Yeah.
time
Do we have
flies,
to
right?
do like a birthday stream or something?
Yeah. Birthday tier list. I think for our
Ainsley,
52nd episode though, we should do like just a TTS game or something. I think that could be quite fun. Like just, maybe go for a little bit longer. Maybe we do it on the weekend or we record it in advance or something. I think that could be really fun.
Well, I thought we were doing. I thought we were going to do that in an episode coming up, or was that going to be on?
We
Just
could do
separate?
both. I think the stream game one could be like a special game where we get like maybe our viewers to pick what armies we're playing as well. That could be quite fun. Whereas I think we can just do one on an episode soon of us just playing and then talking about our game. But we also just need to actually do that, which might take a few more weeks because I'm busy this weekend and then next weekend I got the event. So might be a few weeks out before we actually get to do that one anyway. So we'll see. But we'll try and get that on because I think that'll be a really fun episode. I think it'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, that will be us for another week. And yeah, it's always awkward. I don't know how to end these episodes, so I'm just going to need to do it right now.